So, hi, I'm George.
Okay, I'm giving it back. So you can
Give it back.
No, I want to see it.
Thanks for coming to my office.
Thanks for having us.
Glad that we have you. Hope everybody got some food. Everybody got their drink. Anybody need anything else?
Anything hard? License.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. You hang.
Wow.
You hang
That's
up.
awesome. Thank
You get your title license and then you.
I'll
can
use
work
it with my bird dog.
So that's what
I
he's doing.
will.
I think so.
I will
Because
tell
know that
you
I
quite
know
easily
that that what you could.
that you know you made it as an attorney. By the way, I'm going to speak from here, so you can crane your neck the whole time if you don't mind. But the camera's there, which means I have to be here. So, I told my father I knew I finally made it as an attorney when I could justify putting my name on a shot glass, flip it to the other side, and tell all my people thank you for giving me a shot. Steal it as you wish.
And the best copycat wins.
I just
I'm
made
gonna do this
cups
in red.
Yes, but do it. Go crazy.
I just got mugs made up saying, looking to put a smile on your mug, Celesta, the realtor to know.
So, hold on. We'll just keep doing
I
this.
like
'Cause
that.
the other one, we got money. There we go. You know what? Realtors that use me for the first time, we're so thankful. Catch. We're so thankful. We think
You're the bomb.
you're the bomb. Now there's ping pongs all over the
Wow.
fucking floor. But listen, it's easy. It's dad jokes. The best dad jokes win. If you find a way that people remember you for something, do it. Thanks for giving us a shot. I'm not kidding. Like, can't do shots at the closing table. That's very, very improper. They have to sign the document sober. But the second it's done,
That's right.
yeah, we can. And we give out bags of airline booze with the shot glass to our clients because we all know the stress of closing. We all know the stress of moving. They might want that pizza, but they sure as hell are going to want that shot of bird dog after they move shit all day,
100%. The
right?
best whiskey, that's why.
But that's the reality of this is people want something memorable. And that shot glass, it lasts. It'll sit on your shelf with other shot glasses, but it will in fact have my name to it. Lip balm, that's going to go in every woman's purse, and
Yeah.
they'll use it and just be like, oh, and they'll see my logo at the top and be like, maybe they remember who I am, maybe not. But it's something. It didn't cost much to be memorable.
Yeah.
This, I walked in here, I was trying to decide who I was going to be today. This was from one of my marketing guys, a very appreciative marketing guy, the same guy who actually built that table over there.
I love that.
Everybody walked into this law office and saw all the dark wood paneling and the oppressive bookshelves and all of the things that make you think that attorneys look down on you and judge you and make you feel small. That shit doesn't exist in here. But if you want to know where my law books are, they are the legs of that table. Because we do everything by computer, we know that. But there's the impressive books that used to scare all the clients and make them think that attorneys are bigger and more important than you. Well, that's bullshit. One of my dear marketing guys and clients called me on a Friday early in my career and said, you still in the office? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I got something for you. And this was auto wrapping. But he figured out how to put it on a softball bat because damn is it hard to stretch it right to get it there.
Yeah.
But this was my first gig. When I started out 18 years ago, I was a collection attorney first. My job used to be to chase people, scare people, intimidate them into payment plans, make money for my clients. And I did that in every court in the state. And then I started going to bankruptcy court and enforcing creditors' rights there. And then I started doing sheriff sale announcements, converting a Discover card credit card debt into selling your house. Holy shit. And then the economy crashed. And when the economy crashed, my bosses said, hey, you're the highest paid guy here. It was nice knowing you. And that's when I opened this up. So 13 years ago this week, Veitengruber Law came into existence. And I thought I was a collection attorney still. This fucking bat. I flipped the script and I started working for all the people that I used to chase. Now I learned how to protect them. And my first gig was clients in credit card debt. Well, they need bankruptcy so they can do the do-over. But then I found out all the clients that had bankruptcy debt, well, they might be behind on their mortgage. So this was 2012 through 2014, the Wild West of great mortgage rates everywhere for people that really shouldn't have these houses. So I started doing all the loan mods. So I was doing all the workouts for that. And then the clients that couldn't save it, most of them became short sales. So now I'm all these underwater houses and the crash, and I'm doing all that negotiating. And we brought it in-house. We started, the first company that was doing short sales with us, they had their own in-house agent that would do all the negotiating. And soon we just developed our own in-house negotiator. Not to cut her out, every deal we still get from that firm still uses her, and we're happy to make that work. But any other firm, we said, do you guys want to be on the phone all day with mortgage companies? As realtors, do you like that part of the job?
I gave that up as quickly as possible.
Hell no. So when I say I have a team for that, you can be like, oh, here, you take this flaming pile of shit and figure out how to make it work. And we did. So the cool part about that was we let you do what you were good at, communicate with the client and find houses, find opportunities. And we kept talking to the bank because the bankruptcy department and the loan mod department were talking to them anyway. So we already had a system in place, and we took the work off of your shoulders and let you keep hunting. And then we found out we had message confusion. My realtors were like, oh, you want the easy ones too? We thought you just took the shitty ones. And that's when people finally recognized that I was a real estate attorney. And we are real estate attorneys. We did 230 closings last year.
Wow.
We did 260 in 2020 during the height of this mess. We're good for 200 a year. Anastasia is a rock star, and I'm pretty sure she's on pace for somewhere between 250 and 300 already this year. It's quiet January. Not really. Not really. It all just depends on how you're sourcing those opportunities and how you're keeping active with it. And when you're dealing with distress, you have more opportunities that pop through this door than most people because you get a knack for it. So you are sitting in a new incubator. This is a new way to do these short sale presentations. Instead of me coming to the office, bringing you a bunch of food, smiley smile, and some people go, oh, well, that happened. That was a neat diversion from our typical Tuesday meeting, and never talking to them again. We invite you to the office so you can see the people, so you can know what we do. And if you took the time out of your day to travel to us, we assume you really had a genuine interest in learning about this. I'm getting more quality in the room than quantity. That was the goal. So thanks for coming. So,
I'm gonna get an Uber.
every time we do these, it really just, the question becomes, how do I bring you value? How do I show it a different way? How do I make it something where you completely get a different view as to why this works? And today I decided to put on the cursing attorney hat. And I'm starting with my Fuck Yeah Friday series on a Wednesday. But it's important to know because this is the crazy that you should learn to appreciate. No isn't necessarily an answer. It's if option A failed, can option B work or C work or Z work? How many times do we have to go down a road until we get to the right spot? And I will say that my fuck yeah of this week is I have a new client as of yesterday, 89-year-old woman who lost her husband 46 years ago, lost her son 2 years ago. And her son was her life, and her son was the everything, and he handled all the bills. And she said, I feel stupid and inept that here at 89, I had to relearn how to do everything. But while my son was dying from cancer, the bills had already gotten behind, and he tried to shield and protect me from it. And now we have the magic words because you're going to hear this and be like, Jesus, okay. So she's 4 years behind on a mortgage that's at 8% and never got modified the entire time she was in it, which is crazy. But the good news is the house is in Allentown. So since she bought the house and has never mortgaged it, there's equity. Okay, what's the problem? Let's sell it. Right? That's actually what the end result of this will be. I skipped a few steps ahead. But at 89, with a mortgage that's going to cost her $2,500 a month because it's at 8%, which used to seem outrageous. And now you're like, yeah, it's a little high. But it should be, if she had modified it ever,
Right.
sitting at 3 or 4% right now. And you go, well, do you want to save it? And in your brain, you're just like, how the hell is an 89-year-old going to save it? They're going to recast her mortgage, give her a new 40 years, and she gets to pay this off when she's 129.
Or a reverse mortgage.
Possible. By the way, I'll tell you why that doesn't necessarily work. Reverse mortgages don't like helping you if you're already up against the list pendants.
Yeah.
I ran into that one that I'm also going to solve and close in 2 weeks. I'll come back to that one. Ask me about reverse mortgages in a second. So 89, 2,700 a month on the mortgage payment. And you're like, well, okay, so what comes in every month? I get my Social Security, it's 1,900. I get my pension, well, that's 1,900. You have $3,800 coming in. How the hell can you save a $2,700 house? And she's like, well, I still work. Guys heard she was 89, right?
God bless her.
Oh,
I love this
that's
woman.
cool. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I work at a credit union and I make another $36,000 a year doing
Wow.
that, full-time hours. And I was like, really? And she's like, I don't want to sit on my couch and do nothing. I love the people I work with. I work because I choose to work, not because I have to. And I'm like, amazing. And then she's like, and I don't like to sit around on the weekends. I have 22,000 miles on my car for last year. And you're like, again, amazing. And I say, so let's talk about the house. She's like, I have these friends that they can't go out to lunch because they're so married to their house. They're so married to, they have to make this payment every month, that they're sitting on that treadmill and they can't afford to just go out and do something because the house is more important. And she's like, I am not married to this house. I've gotten what I need out of this house, and I do not want to have to keep working because of this house. I want to keep working because I enjoy it, and then I want to be able to have the money to go do something else. That was yesterday morning.
Nice.
And I said, great, she's in foreclosure. Start with that punchline, right? So distress is what walks in this door most of the time. Okay, what do you need? She's not a hoarder. She's packed boxes. She's given stuff away. She's done all the things. She knows what's going with her. She just needs a little time. And her time becomes, does she paint the house because it's been a while since there's been one? Well, that's a lipstick fix. And maybe it's good and maybe it's not. It's a cheap thing. And she's like, we have to reseat a toilet in my son's bathroom. Well, that's also a $200 fix. We don't need a plumber. We need a wax ring and a new toilet. We're done. So, spring market's just a month away. We can start with this. I'm going to file an answer in your foreclosure. Why do I file an answer in the foreclosure? If we ignore foreclosure complaints in New Jersey, we can go to sale in about 4 months. Pretty fucking scary.
Yeah.
If we file an answer, we extend that to 9 to 12 months.
Big difference.
I just want to get her through the summer.
Can anyone file an answer, or does it have to be an attorney?
They don't need attorneys. They can file pro se. They might mess it up. But as long as we file the answer, I give you time. Why do we care about time? More time you have, you don't have to take the desperate offer. You don't have to get lowballed. You can be patient. You can market appropriately. When I say, here's what we're going to do, and I say, how much time do you need to get the house ready for sale? And she's like, well, I have this woman I work with at the credit union that's a realtor that I love, and I'd like to have her in. I say, have her come over before you do anything, and she'll give you the observation of A, where it should be priced, and B, if you need to do any of this lipstick.
Okay.
And if you need to do the lipstick, great. The goal is, let's get you on the market the next 2 months. Let's see if that's possible. 89, great mindset.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite clients
Not bad.
because they already have their mindset of, I'm okay moving. Then we have the other ones. I don't want to move at all costs. I'm desperate to save this house. I will play choose your own adventure with every one of those clients, and I will show them what it costs to save, how much money is going to come out of their budget, if it's affordable now. And the value I can give is, this is how short you are. Can you find $1,500 a month extra? Maybe. Kid's living there and hasn't paid, it's time to make your kid an adult. and teach them that at 28, they have to start paying their own way. Right? At 43, they have to start paying their own way.
It's even mortgage now.
And we have those clients
Yeah.
where
So do we.
their kid is not paying their own way, and then that kid is the reason that we can't sell because they won't get their shit out.
Right.
Right?
We're squatters, man.
That's it.
Horrible squatters.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I never ever want to be a landlord tenant attorney, but I've done ejectments this year over the squatter relative that said, "Daddy promised I never have to leave."
Right.
I'm terribly sorry, but your father died 2 years ago, and it's time.
Yeah.
And the judge has told you it's time,
Right.
and then they gave you another extension. But today is the day. But can you give me more time? 8 months we couldn't sell the house because you refused to leave and you refused to cooperate with the contractors that were going to fix it.
Right.
Communication is what this all comes down to. And when it comes to distress, I've heard this conversation over the years, because it's messy, because it's got hair on it, because it's not vanilla, people are afraid of it. And my encouragement is don't be afraid of it. Just have resources that can help not only you understand it, but have your clients understand it. In this folder is my cell phone number. That cell phone number is for you, not for the clients necessarily, but you will call me at 7:00 on a Friday night to ask me a problem on something that you're going to see the client tomorrow morning or you're going to see them Sunday. I don't want you to have to wait till Monday morning at 9 a.m. to get good answers, because that's a bad resource. But I know that there are attorneys that will stiff arm you like this and say, sorry, these are my hours, deal with my staff. I want the clients to deal with staff. They're more efficient than I am. Their job is to do their silo. My job is to meet with you and problem solve. So big problems from you every day. Problems from clients, Anastasia's going to rock it out, or Matt's going to rock it out. They're going to figure it out where they're like, I can't get George on the phone. I know, that's by design. You guys can get me on the phone because that's here. Otherwise, it comes to the office and they push it through. If there's a problem that shows up on a weekend and the client's like, well, I called the office and got nobody, you call the bat phone and say, the client's freaking out about this. What can we do? We can jump on a 5-minute call and solve it. So people aren't like up all weekend freaking out that this is a big problem when it turns out to be a $500 fix. Right? So, where's the world going this year?
To hell in a handbag.
Is that everybody's opinion? Is that where you think?
The world? Is that what you said? The world?
Yeah. Where's real estate going this year?
Stable. It's going to be what it is for the rest of the year. Whatever it is now, it's sticking tight to it.
How do you guys think?
We'll pick up a little.
I think it'll pick up, but I mean, I think it depends on what you're. I mean, as an agent, I think it depends on where we're at. I mean, me personally, I'm going after higher numbers. People who aren't worried about the market, people who have cash. Those are the people I'm trying to work with. So,
What happened over the last couple of years?
COVID.
Interest rates.
our president.
Forbearance. People not paying their mortgage.
Yep. Forbearance is a huge one, by the way.
I know, I'm seeing it more and more in the listing presentations I go on.
So, lenders, I have a letter sitting in one of my clients' folders from last week from their lender. We're with you. We are here to support you through these trying times. We're just going to put pause on your mortgage, and when things are back to normal, we'll start. That's what the letter said, and that's what you promised me. But you didn't tell me that when you said we'd start again, that you wanted me to write a check for $80,000 in order to restart. You kind of told me we were going to modify this.
But even if they do modify it, they put it on the back end, then you may have owed $280, but now you're back up to $370.
You owe $370,
It's back up
and,
again.
right?
They have.
And if they did that, no,
I
that's
had
the
it
point.
done with COVID.
And I've had it done for some clients,
Yeah.
but I've had other clients where it hasn't been done. And the most nightmarish of those was the client who was given the trial modification after her forbearance, but the lender had the attorneys kept moving forward on the foreclosure.
Right.
And she made 3 trial payments, and then they sent her the documents, but they kept moving forward on the foreclosure.
Yeah.
And she she e-signed her permanent mod in a kiosk that they had, an electronic lockbox. And then they sent her the new payment, and she made the payment, and they accepted it on a permanent. And then they adjourned her sale. And then she went to make the next payment, and they gave her a confirmation code that they accepted the payment. And then they sold her house.
What? Yep.
So now I'm in front of a judge saying, I don't think they can do this. But the problem is, even though they gave her a code that they accepted the last payment, they actually never drew it from her account.
Oh boy.
And the document that she docu-signed, she didn't hit print. She didn't save her own copy. So I'm in front of a judge with 5 bank statements, 5 confirmation codes, a change of payment, and a letter that says you've been approved for a mod, but not a copy of the mod itself. To say, Judge, I don't think we could have sold this house. I give me 60-40 odds. She could still lose it. There was a third party bidder who's like, hey, we want you out of the house today. And my statement to them is, well, you can fuck off. You haven't filed an ejectment. You're under no legal cause of action to agree with those people yet. I'm going to wait for the judge to tell me whether you get your house back or not. Forbearances are going to be nightmares.
Yeah.
And because of those nightmares, what does this mean for you? There are more properties to sell than anybody's anticipating.
Yep.
Because there are sheriff sales again, COVID, we're protected, you're in a bubble, we're not selling your house, the government won't let us sell your house, the state won't let us sell your house. Then the lenders made a strategic decision of, we're probably not selling your house. That was last year. 2022, I was just like, holy shit, I'm ready. And I put a post out last year this time that said, we're back, and here it comes. And then 2022 was okay, but it wasn't crazy. The stress was there, but it wasn't back to where it was supposed to be. I will tell you, today, being February 15th, I have 66 new clients on the year already.
Wow.
That's my highest pace ever
Yeah.
through this point of a year.
Yep.
And that's great for distress. It's bad for what's happening to New Jersey.
And the market and real estate.
But hold on, because there were magical words that you guys said about what happened over the last couple of years. So COVID slowed everything down, put everything on pause, which means now we're coming into a crisis where all that pause is being taken off and people are about to lose their houses. And if it starts getting out there that people are starting to lose their houses, people will get nervous about, am I going to lose my house? And then other people will get nervous about, well, if these guys all lose their house, am I going to lose all the equity that I just gained over the last 2 years? So maybe I should think about getting out sooner rather than later. And all of that, if you only look at it from the one side, sounds like, holy shit, we are in a recession again. Oh my God, we're about to have a buyer's market again.
Right.
But are we? Because there are a lot of people that accumulated a lot of cash over the last couple of years. There are a lot of people that put in 37 contracts and only one of those 37 got accepted for that house
Yeah, we had a bit of more.
over the last couple of
No, I'm
years.
still having bidding
Everything's
wars.
a bidding war.
All of those bidding wars mean that we have qualified buyers that don't necessarily give a damn that the rates are 6%. They still need that house. Which means all of these qualified buyers are going to be matched up with all of these new houses hitting the market because of sheriff sales, because of distress, because of flippers, because REO finally starts releasing more inventory. So make sure that you have touched base with all of those people that were not picked over the last couple of years, and make sure they're primed, they're ready, and they're motivated again. Because when that opportunity hits, it will not be the same crazy bidding wars that we used to have, but it will still be competitive. And if they are ready, if they are aware, you now can be ahead on that, because those opportunities are going to be there. That's my opinion about real estate. I think it's going to be a good year for real estate because all of those dance partners are going to match up. Is it going to be a good year next year? Year after that? I don't know. Because I think a lot of people that bought in super, super low and paid $100,000 over are going to realize that, well, this investment's never going to pay off, and something happens. Spouse gets sick, spouse dies, people get divorced, kid gets sick, job relocation, and now I'm underwater.
Yeah.
So those people are going to have to then go because I can't modify them. And then the person that bought in at 7% that realized, oh my God, I am way over my head. Why did I do this? They might have the equity in the property, but they can't afford the house anymore. So those people are going to have to sell. And in a couple of years, they might be the ones that actually crash the system again. That's what I'm worried about. But it means opportunity for you. If you're paying attention to it, and if you're connecting with your people, and if you're out there still stumping it and saying there are opportunities to be found, there are houses that are not on the market, that will never be on the market, that are available if you just pay attention to what's going on in the market. Here's how I can help. First, we send out postcards all the time. There's samples of the postcards sitting in these folders. Old school, down and dirty. I do social media like everybody else. I do videos like everyone else. I will tell you the thing that makes me the most money is that silly postcard that you're sitting in front of right now. That goes out 2,000 to 3,000 times a month to the people that are in pre-foreclosure and people that are up against sheriff sales. We're not afraid of sheriff sales, ever, at this office.
Where do you get that list?
Yes. njlistpendants.org. I did. njlistpendants.org. $30 a month. Or sheriff's lists.
Pendans.
Pendens. Listpendants.
LES.
Or the sheriff's sale lists, which are public record.
Yeah.
And you know what? Both of those lists, they bear fruit. Because I'll ask you something great. You didn't know there'd be math here today. If I send out 3,000 postcards, and postage is, let's call it 60 cents, how many deals do I need in order to make that affordable?
How many deals for you to be affordable? Okay, you being affordable, what do you charge? 15?
1,500.
Yeah,
One deal.
that's the way I do it.
So if you guys got one new listing, did this pay for itself? That's it. Math is very, very simple. When we started postcards, it was, I think, 8 years ago. 7.5. 7.
I think 2015. maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, so between 7 and 8 years ago.
It just depends on what you're willing to do. This is my postcard.
There it is.
Oh, you have a big one too.
Big,
It has to be big.
obnoxious, oversized, and
Yeah.
you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Most of the attorneys
can't
that I
send it out
compete
yet.
against,
Got Fathom on it.
those people, my attorney competitors, put this in an envelope. What do you do with your junk envelopes? Do you open them?
No.
I don't.
But
Right?
you know what I do?
What?
I buy they're expensive and I spend like $300 on them, but I buy the ones from Amazon that say urgent on it. They're more apt to get opened up.
The ones that are most apt to be opened up, you want a yellow or a
They
blue
are.
birthday card.
Mm-hmm.
Forget urgent.
Right.
You want one that looks like a
Yeah.
goddamn birthday card because then they'll open it.
Yeah,
Only
or
if it's
colorful
handwritten
envelopes. I use
Yep.
colorful envelopes.
Colorful
Yes,
envelopes
blue,
help.
Yellow.
But this campaign is really, really simple. Find me one client and it's already paid for itself. How can I help your people? Somebody calls you up and asks about selling their house, and you ask the right question, and that's any lawsuits pending, any sheriff sales pending. They're calling out of curiosity or desperation. And what most of my clients tell me is it's fear to themselves of acknowledging that they have trouble, and it's fear that their neighbors will know. And everyone here knows that if you Google a house and they're in trouble, it's already up there.
Yeah.
It's already up there. Foreclosure, pre-foreclosure. There's a sheriff's sale. There's a sale scheduled on my house for 2 p.m. on the 21st. I didn't know there's a sale scheduled. Well, there might not be. But that's the information that went up because there was supposed to be. Here's what I can do. A client walks into this office and tells me, I have a sheriff sale at 2:00 today. I have 81 minutes. I can get a sheriff sale a bankruptcy filed in about 30.
Wow.
And that's mostly because the client has to take a credit counseling course that, if they really pay attention to it, should take 30. I've seen it done in 7 minutes. You don't need much to file a bankruptcy. You need an ID, you need a social security card, you need a credit counseling course, you need the creditors that you're trying to make sure are noticed of it, and then you press a button, and then it's done. $313 later, it's filed. And then you fax the notice of the filing to the sheriff. Gotta stop. Can't do it. Can't do anything. So, holy shit, somebody that wants to sell their house now had to file bankruptcy. I don't want to file bankruptcy. The choice is, if you lose the house, you've lost the opportunity, or you file bankruptcy and learn that it's not as scary of a word as you think it is. Bankruptcy is a tool. And when you start looking at it as a tool rather than something of pride, ego, failure, you feel better about it. Because this tool does one magical thing: buys you time. And time gives all of you the opportunity to sell that for them, so they can walk out of there with not just the time to have gotten it ready so they can leave on their own terms, but hopefully a check in their pocket. Now I'm going to screw up the scenario for you. Person walked in my office tomorrow and they had a sale today. What do I do now? Any idea?
Appeal?
You're on the right page. You have 10 days to redeem. You have 10 days to come up with the check. Do you have $300,000 so you can redeem this house? Never, right? Never is usually the answer. All right. Are you prepared to sell this house? So let me ask something stupid. Can you guys sell this house in 10 days? With a gun to your head.
We could sell it. It's the
Depending.
moving parts after the fact that are the problem.
Actually, I can. I have a
Cash money.
Cash money.
Well, even with cash, you
It's still hard.
and
It's still hard.
all the nonsense. Yeah.
So I've just told you have 10 days to sell. Nobody really likes that, right?
But you can, because, I have brokers.
Yeah.
That I use
Yeah.
when I have specific homes, and I just look up.
Sure you
what-
can.
Yeah.
But you don't like it. So what if I told you you don't have 10 days? What if I told you you have 68 days?
That would be amazing.
Everybody here like that?
Yes.
Does that sound better? Congratulations. The day after your house was sold at sale, because here's the real story. Sheriff sales were allowed to start again in September of 2021. 17 months ago? People were getting their houses sold out from under them 17 months ago? Why the hell didn't I hear about this? Monmouth and Ocean really didn't participate. They were down to 5%. Middlesex, day one, right back to it. So my client called me. Actually, I'm sorry, client met with me, called the office and set up an appointment. And when she walked in, she said, a man knocked on my door last night and scared the shit out of my 16-year-old son and said, I own this house, when are you getting out? That was the conversation. And she called my office immediately, made an appointment, and the next day she was in. And I asked her, do you know what that guy's problem was? She's like, no, I have no idea. And I was like, he came too early. He was so excited that he bought your house that he didn't wait 10 days. If I don't file a bankruptcy within the first 10 days, you're done. You're out of time. I can't fix it. But if I file a bankruptcy within that 10-day period, congratulations, you get an extra 60. So I looked at her and I said, do you have $300,000? Are you prepared to move? All right, hold on. Boop, boop, boop. Hey, Deb, I have a house that has to sell and close within 67 days. Can you do it? I can be out there on Friday with pictures and I can have it listed for the weekend, open house by this weekend. Yeah, we should be okay. All right, Lisa called Deb. They set it up. She took the pictures. MLS was up. Open house was robust. By next Wednesday, so this was on a Tuesday, fast forward 8 days, Out of my 67, I just burned 8 of them. And she said, I have 5 over ask offers.
Yeah.
And my client is not the best offer. My client's number 2. That's what I like about realtors that have integrity of it. She could have double bubbled, but she said, my client's second. If the guys in first fall through, you'll use my die. But take the guys in first. And here we are, off to the races. And now I'm going to ask something, and you guys won't hurt my feelings when you give me the answer. What is the attorney what's the attorney reputation in a real estate transaction?
Among realtors or?
Among realtors. Among realtors. I told you you won't hurt my
To
feelings.
be fair, it depends on the attorney.
I told you won't hurt my feelings.
Sometimes I go, they're the best thing since sliced bread, and they help me keep my deals together. And other times I'm going, please don't use them.
Yep.
Yep.
So it
Depends
really
the attorney.
depends.
Yeah.
And it always depends on the attorney.
100%.
And I promise you, there have been
For
times
sure.
when somebody's probably cursed my name on things too. But the reputation of being deal killers is only earned by certain difficult attorneys.
Yep.
Otherwise, my job is to be a good teammate.
Exactly.
I'm a good partner. I'm just another adult in the room, another professional giving opinions, trying to keep our clients calm, trying to keep the other side calm, trying to keep all of the people that are on edge calm so that we can all stay in the same boat and get to the closing table. Because if we don't get to the closing table, nobody gets paid. Buyers don't get a house, sellers don't get their money. All the professionals at the table have not gotten paid. So why the fuck would I want to kill your deal? Because I didn't get paid either. I want to make sure that a good deal happens. So back to my story. She didn't pick her person. She picked a stranger. And I wrote, we're accepting your offer. This is subject to court approval. What the fuck does that mean? Court approval? Seriously? Does anybody have a problem with my cursing? I'll take the hat off. The hat allows me to curse. So the realtor is asking this, not the attorney. They haven't sent it to their attorney yet. And I say, well, there was a sheriff's sale and there's an active bankruptcy and I need bankruptcy court approval to finalize the sale. Bankruptcy?
Yes.
Bankruptcy? Are you crazy? Nope. I'm the bankruptcy attorney. I'm also the real estate attorney. And I will promise you that if you go and hang out with any other real estate attorney, there are very few people that do bankruptcy when they do real estate.
Yeah.
Stacy Roccanova used to do it, and her real estate practice got too damn good, so she gave up the bankruptcy because it was a headache for her. The reason I can manage it, I have another attorney that all he does is my bankruptcy and foreclosure. I have 2 people in the foreclosure department, 2 in the bankruptcy department, 2 in the real estate department. For a small firm,
Yeah.
I have 8 people running around here like chickens with their heads cut off because we have 450 clients a year and we get good service. That's the point. So now I go, I'm the same guy. I have to get bankruptcy court approval, but I'm not asking another attorney to do it. I know what's going on in a real estate deal, so I can convey that to the court. It's going to be okay. And they say, we've never done this before. We're really nervous. Can you talk to our attorney before we send out an attorney review? Of course I can. I want to make the deal happen. So they get me on the phone with her. And I'm like, hey, Steph. She's like, hey, George, what's going on? I'm like, no, nothing. I was like, who did you marry that I went to high school with? And she's like, Alex. I'm like, how the hell's Alex? Divine intervention, man. Sometimes you get lucky. And she's like, tell me about this cockamamie deal. I need to understand it. And I give her that whole scenario. And she goes, I trust you, so let's make it happen. We close within the next 60 days. And here's how I know I did a good job. Everybody got paid. Buyers got a house. My client walked out with a check in her hand. The buyer's agent helped her find another apartment to live in. So she now had housing secured. She did have a kid. We wanted to make sure that the kid wasn't disrupted from school. And then the owner for the buyer's real estate agent called me up and said, my agent said you did an amazing job with something really hairy. And I'm like, yep. And she's like, well, good, I have one for you. And it was the exact same scenario.
Wow.
If there's not an attorney crazy enough to do this shit, that deal never happens.
Right.
But now I have an owner for a company that's been in existence for 90 years. She's the great granddaughter of the founder, and she says we are squeaky clean, we do it by the book. And she's like, but we understand that there are things that are over here that are within the lines, but we need somebody radical who can figure it out.
That would be you.
I'm radical. And unfortunately, I have an office full of that same junkie mentality that everybody here wants to jump in front of a speeding train to help a client get the outcome they want. So, sheriff sale happened, it's not too late. Sheriff sale happened 11 days ago, it's probably too late. But I'm not afraid of that. I have a process for that. My team has a process for that. So if somebody calls you at the last second, don't be afraid of it. Just ask some questions and figure out how to get them on the phone with me. My loyalty is to my referral partners. You brought them in, it's your deal. You want to know the people who give me the best deals? Other attorneys that don't want to handle that shit. I honor their clients. I make sure they keep the part of their clients that they want, and I take the part they don't. So if I have a real estate attorney who says, I'm in a jam, all right, keep the deal. Send me the bankruptcy work. I'll communicate with you. I'll make sure that we get to the finish line. That's being a good teammate. That's bringing value to everybody. Hit me.
What happened to the person that bought the house or knocked on the door?
Aha, that's a very good question. Right?
That's important to him. He's the guy that knocks on the door.
You get your money back.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it sat in limbo for 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the question, right? Because I have this going on right now. The woman that they expected to kick her out of the house today, but they haven't gone to court yet.
Right.
Well, that's dumb. I've spoken to them, and I said, hey, there's an irregularity with this sale. We're asking the court to overturn it. You have a choice. Would you like to voluntarily cancel this sale so you can have your money back today? Or do you want to roll the dice with the judge? Because if you roll the dice with the judge, you're getting your money back whenever the judge has the hearing. Well, the judge, in this case, order to show cause is supposed to be heard like that, right? Judge kicked it out to first, second week of March. And I'm nervous about that because I don't like the idea that that has to linger. But if you, as the third party bidder, and I went, here's the irregularity, this is real, the lender isn't going to kick and scream if I vacate the sale, and you're going to get made whole today. Do you want that? Or was the property worth it to wait 45 days?
Could he have first dibs on a purchase if?
Sure. I'd make that side deal. Because that's the other thing, right? What's the motivation for my client? If I come to you and I say, my client really doesn't want the house back, but they need time, give me a written deal. Give me a cash for keys incentive. If you're willing, if you know your spread is going to be $100,000 on this house, it's going to carry it for 3 months, put 20 grand of construction into it, but at the end of it, you're clearing 80. You want to give 10 to my client to get out?
Yeah, why not?
Right.
I'll recommend it to my client every
that's
time because it's your house right now, and my client's contesting that because they want their house back. But everybody has a price. If the price is stupid, say no. But if the price is reasonable, I write something up.
Right.
Because I'm not lighting my hair on fire either. There are clients that know they have to go.
So you're not dead in the water. You're
You just have
still an
to
opportunity.
communicate.
Right.
And my job, because I've seen every degree of mess, is I will communicate with you every single time because you might be the better deal.
And the cash for keys may make that tenant or occupant less likely to take the copper plumbing when they leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want that money at the end.
That's
so
right.
they're gonna mess you up.
Subject to
I
inspection.
have another question.
Yeah.
I was dealing with this short selling Beechwood.
Yep.
I met the homeowner. She was actually cleaning out the house. I was trying to find her for a year.
Yeah.
I seen a car in the thing knocked on the door. It was her. I convinced her she was giving the house back to the bank. I convinced her to fill out the short sale application. We went through the whole process.
Yes.
But now the bank, they declined my offer. So like I dealt with the house for like 8 months, paid her taxes. That was like 1 year sentence I gave her to
Too
do
far.
it. and they declined the offer. So right now, her nephew was actually the listing agent. So I've been in contact with them, and the bank is just stuck on this number. Like even with other people that coming in.
Yeah.
So like in them situations, like what do you
do next?
What do you do with that type of deal?
So the most egregious version of that I've dealt with had a house in Marlboro. My client, before they were my client, saw that there was a sheriff's sale. They called up the attorneys and said, "Hey, I got this sale date. What do I do?" And they said, "Get out." He didn't call me. He knew me, and that was pretty dumb. So we got out, and then he hired me, and then I put together a bankruptcy for him. But he said, "Hey, I'm already out. The stress of that house was killing me. We moved."
Yeah.
And he said, "Let the bank know." It was Wells Fargo. I said, "Hey, client abandoned the property. It's your job to secure it, subject to the sale. Treat this as a zombie property. Make sure it's safe."
Yeah.
Wells Fargo ignored it.
Ooh.
Sent him another notice. Wells Fargo ignored it. Client got a call from the fire department that their house was flooded because the pipes froze because he wasn't in the house anymore. He wasn't paying utilities. $4,000 water bill.
Cheers.
So my client does their bankruptcy. They're free of all of this shit. 4 years later, they finally let me sell it. Short sale. Because my client went, "What the fuck? They never went back and did a sheriff's sale again?" Remember, this is back in the crisis times when houses would just sit in limbo forever.
Yeah.
6, 7 years.
And my client
Yeah.
had recovered, was making real money, was going to buy again, and then saw on his record that he still owned the fucking house. So he couldn't buy again. He was handcuffed. He needed to sell. So now we try to sell it. Remember what I said about that water?
Oh, it's been sitting and rotting the house.
Black mold
Oh,
from
yeah.
tip to tail. So I get a $300,000 offer on a house in Marlboro.
Wow.
Drive by,
Wow.
right? Lender goes, "Fucking 300,000, are you high?
Right.
We know where this house is located. Have you been in it?" Nope. Rejected.
Yeah.
4 months go by, we give expert reports, we give opinions, we give contractors' estimates. Rejected.
Yeah.
Wait another year. Rejected. At that point, we had something from housing department that said, "We're recommending this house for condemnation and knockdown." And we sent that to the lender. Accepted. Oh my goodness, really? We could have had this shit done 2 years
Because the
ago.
appraisal is like completely wrong.
It's bullshit.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was horrible.
They're
So
doing a lot of that.
What's her
A
name?
lot.
Kelly?
for the appraiser,
No, the lady.
no.
Oh, okay.
I had a short sale for 4 years. I sold it 4 times for over $450 in Manalapan. Each time the bank would not let me sell it.
Yep.
It was a shithole.
Yeah.
Yep.
And finally, they took it back. I
Who was
never
the
got
bank?
paid on it. And the bank took it back and then fixed it up. They probably had to put at least 100 into
Yep.
it just to get it livable, and sold it in the 3s.
These-
Who's the bank?
I don't remember. It was a while ago.
These guys got it in their
I never got
head
a penny. Working
that
my ass off.
suddenly they wanted to own property because they could make more of the money.
Right.
And we know this, right? The short sale opportunities that existed a decade ago are not the short sale opportunities that
No.
exist today,
Right.
because I'm living in mine,
Right.
right? 1906 Queen Anne Victorian, $220,000. Day I closed on it. By the way, I live in Bordentown, so it's not fancy Monmouth
Ooh, I
County
love Bordentown.
millionaire
I
person.
live pretty over there.
But
I was
that-
just showing houses there.
I
That
showed up
house
at
in
church there,
Bordentown,
that was a house.
The day I closed was worth $320. Now it's worth $500,000.
Yeah.
I got it for $220 because the realtor who lives right across the street from that house had already done a negotiation. And then she went to all of her clients and said, "I need somebody to put an offer in for $220 and we're done."
Wow.
I put the offer in,
Nice.
right? That was a house that I got for a 40% discount. Now you're getting 5 or 10 because the banks aren't giving you that benefit anymore. They don't want to lose that much on their house. They would rather take the damn house,
Yeah.
put some money into it, and hope like hell they actually make it back. It's not a good model.
No, it was stupid as hell.
So what we do in that situation where the bank is off their ass about the appraisal is we challenge it, and then we say, "Give me a licensed contractor estimate. I want to see the full breakdown sheet. Here's all the things that need to be done." Because
I
if
think
we lowball them, that's how we get them hopefully to change their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is hopefully. If they don't change their mind, we're fucked. And I know that.
You just want to be able to tell them, can you please send one of your guys?
Just
to
look
this
at
house?
it.
Please
They're
just
in
come.
California.
Did
Like,
you
Then that's the
coffee.
problem.
Yeah, that's
get
the
a
problem.
real
Most of them.
appraisal? Not a BPO, like a
That's a
paid
good
appraisal.
question. I would have to speak with the agent again about it. But last time I just spoke with them, he said they're doing the same thing with every other person that's coming in and making
Yep.
offers.
Knock it down, knock
Yeah,
it down.
because
knock
my
it- and they don't.
experience with one of our clients is that they sent a realtor from North Jersey to look at a property in
Yeah.
Jackson,
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
And they didn't know.
and he was
No
pulling
clue.
comps that were just not
Horrible.
taking that.
Right.
Yeah, they need to know the area.
And we try to
Because-
submit that as part of our consideration with the offers. And when people tell me, hey, we're going to be well outside of what this is, that's what I tell them to try to back it up.
Yeah.
Because again, I want them to say yes. The last thing I want to do is waste 10 hours negotiating a short sale that goes nowhere. So I want to make sure everybody's a little realistic about it. And the same thing, not piggish. Nobody
Yeah.
should expect to get a 40% discount on a house if they're just
Right.
doing it because the opportunity's
Right.
there. It should be because here's the structural defects. Here's the fucking underground oil tank sitting in the property with a leak.
Yeah.
You're not selling this without fixing that, and I'm willing to take it with that headache.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a $70,000 discount, please. Happened to one of my contractors, and that the bank wrote it like that because they knew that was a headache they didn't want to endure. The other part, because we're talking about short sales, as you can imagine, somebody that's upside down on their mortgage might have judgments, might owe the IRS, might have a divorce attorney and child support out there, might have a second mortgage that's also hassling them. If the lender will take it on the first, but now the property's over encumbered, what do?
Let it go to foreclosure.
Aw, why? Why would you do that?
If you're negotiating the seconds, they very rarely
And you're
get
right.
much out of it.
So the seconds, right?
Right.
Most times the
You
seconds
can
are going to
negotiate.
take
They're like,
six.
their hands are tied. They take anything.
Here's the HUD.
Yeah.
This is what we have for you. You're dog-eared for 6.
Yep.
But then I have to go to the condo association who's owed 18.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, hey guys, will you take 5? Maybe.
They're the biggest piece of the puzzle.
They're a
the
big
HOA.
piece of the puzzle.
They're the ones that are but any other lien is joke.
So, realtor came to me and said, I want to let you know this deal died on the table 3 months ago because my client had a mortgage that was getting paid in full, but they had a HOA lien, and they had a divorce attorney lien, and they had an IRS lien. And then after that, we found out that they had a second attorney lien, and they had a Department of Justice lien.
Wow.
And we don't have enough money to pay everybody. What can you do differently? That's how they came to me with it. And I said, oh, this puzzle isn't so bad. Naive asshole. This puzzle isn't so bad. The IRS is going to eat it.
Right.
The IRS will take what they can take, but they'll never walk away from the opportunity to get some money in the door. They'll release this property, but they won't release against the client. We should be okay. 8 months later, the IRS said, hey, in our lien priority position, we noticed that you paid the second attorney and the DOJ ahead of us. We're not going to let you do that. Go back to those guys and tell them they get 0 instead of discounting us. And I was like, dude, be reasonable. You're still walking with $50,000 in your pocket. You're the IRS. Why do you care?
Seriously.
And they said, well, we care because those guys, they filed their judgments later than us. So now I'm fucked, right? Bankruptcy. Okay. Why are you filing bankruptcy?
So wait, bankruptcy
Oh,
gets rid of
Everybody.
everything?
Nobody
Even our
gets paid.
taxes?
watch this. Taxes are a problem because
I
it's
was
still
gonna
going to
say.
haunt you.
Right.
It's still going to haunt you. But we file a bankruptcy. And remember, if you owe the IRS money, you're on your ass. You're walking with $0 if they release the property without a bankruptcy. Right?
And it's like,
And you go, well, thank God for that because this property was the albatross. And, oh, it was up for sheriff's sale. Make no mistake, it was about to be lost anyway. But this is the last remnant of a bad marriage. So how do I get rid of it? And I have the client coached. When the IRS says yes to this, you're going to walk with no money in your pocket, but at least you're free. And she was happy.
Yeah.
And then when the IRS told me to fuck off, I filed bankruptcy. And you go, okay, what happens in a bankruptcy? Well, when you have judgments that impair your property above the liens, house is worth $450 and your liens are $700, what happens? Well, you can't sell the house for $700. So you go to the judge and you notice all of these people and you say, hey, judge, I have a contract for $420. Can I sell it? If they don't object, you can sell it. So here's what happens. I object. I'm getting 0 because I was the guy who filed behind the IRS. The judge says, your objection's not valid. Offloading the property for the benefit of the 3 lien holders ahead of you, at least somebody's getting paid. Denied. So I didn't pay the second attorney. I didn't pay the Department of Justice. And my client, because federal law is a little bit different than just make a deal with the IRS, my client actually walked out with $27,000 of exemption. So she went from getting nothing to getting $27,000 because of the inconvenience of bankruptcy. And P.S., she got the right to sell her house. That closing will happen next Tuesday.
Nice.
But they already told 2 people, including me, no.
That was a primary residence though, correct?
Primary
Well,
residence.
what about these people with these investment properties that had these tenants just sitting there not
Sitting there,
paying?
yeah, and they
I
couldn't pay their
got a lot of
bills.
them too.
I can help with the tenants.
They were under protection.
They were under protection for a long time. So, a secondary house, we have a little bit more of an issue, right? Things can trail with that. They won't get the exemption if they have to jump that through bankruptcy. But they can still get short sale approval if that's the case. If the tenant's in the property, you have a notice to quit that says house is subject to sell. The new buyer intends to occupy. Consider this your 60-day notice to get the hell out. And if they don't get out, then you eject them. But now you have a buyer that has to wait and be patient. And chances are you have a seller that needs to go put money in escrow to say, I've retained the landlord-tenant attorney and I've put X months aside for the anticipated delays that can happen in court. We did that during COVID. Because here's the thing, everybody was protected during COVID, but if you weren't paying your mortgage, your rent, and there was a house subject to sale, the judge said, get the hell out. Judges didn't let people stay. You just had to not listen to the messaging up here that said everybody is ordered to stay in place. Mm-hmm. You weren't ordered to stay in place if you weren't paying. If you weren't paying, I still had rights. You just had to go to a judge and complain loud enough about it. And the judges kicked people out. Make no mistake about it. Yeah.
Good times.
Reverse mortgage.
Reverse mortgage. You asked about reverse mortgages.
Can you do some kind of quick little blurb about, because I'm meeting with people that think they can ride out a foreclosure and live there for a year or 2 before the bank finally forecloses on
Like it
them.
used to be.
Because that did happen.
Yes.
It was 6-7
And
years.
so people, that's their argument of why they don't want to list.
Well,
Yeah. So
Can we do a blurb that we can like
we
edit
absolutely
and send to
can.
people?
No, we absolutely can, right? So first of all, the hilarious horror story.
Okay, wait, I'm videoing.
Okay.
So, summer of 2021, a woman walks in here, and her foreclosure docket is a 2005 docket. That means she has not made a mortgage payment in 15 years. And what does she say? Well, I have a sheriff's sale, and I need more time. Need more time? Sure, it's been 15 years, you'll be fine. What are we gonna do with the house? She's like, my son moved out, I threw out my ex-husband, I don't want this house anymore, I know it's time. I'm okay with selling it, but I need time to do that. I filed bankruptcy. I'm so sorry that you hear bankruptcy. I am a real estate attorney, I promise. But bankruptcy is a tool. So, no sale, I filed bankruptcy. But here's the magic, because you're gonna freak out about this. When she defaulted on the mortgage in 2005, the entire mortgage was $80,000. The house was in Belmar.
Oh,
Oh my God.
So we listed the house and she walked out with a check. She got paid because although the house was up against a sheriff's sale, the amount of the debt did this and the value of the house did this. So not only did she not pay a mortgage for 15 plus years,
Holy crap.
she walked with a check. Holy shit. Which brings something up that's really important. That value of the house is whatever is in your head. The value of the house is what the market has done to it. And people might not know this. So people that feel compelled that they are handcuffed to this house might not appreciate that the value of those houses rose by 30-something% over the last 2 years. And you can be the educator that says you have an opportunity here. That's really, really important to know. But the people that think they can ride it out, this is the message for you. When we started this in 2010, we used to tell people, we're going to wait for the judgment to be entered. We're going to wait for the sheriff's sale to be scheduled. And then I'm going to run to the court, order to show cause. Hey, Your Honor, we'd like to mediate this now. That's what the system was in 2010. And we would tell clients, you got 4 years. And then in 2012, the court changed the rules and said, if you don't file an answer when you're entitled to, and if you don't ask for mediation in the first 60 days, we're not giving it to you. So 4 years became 2. And then by 2015, we were down to about 1.5 years. And we tell clients, you have about 1.5 years until we can figure this out. And then by 2018, we told people, you got 6 to 9 months. And then COVID happened. Don't worry about it. You got 2 years again. You're fine. We tell people right now that if you are up against a foreclosure complaint, if you do not file an answer, you have 4 months. If you do file an answer, you have 9 to 12. 9 to 12 months is a lot of time to make informed decisions, but it is not 4 years. And if you think you're going to camp into it till the bitter end is happening a lot faster now than it ever did. Do not waste your opportunity to actually make more money unless your house is that far underwater. That's the lesson. It's about control. It's really about making sure that whatever you want to do with this asset, if you put your head in the sand, you have zero control. If you're sitting there next to them and giving them ideas, advice, paths, they get to choose. Some people might just ride it out to the bitter end. Other people will go.
Well, if I knew I had 15 years and then got a check at the end.
Can you imagine? But
She should be in jail.
Well, that was the
she is the unicorn. She's the unicorn. And that unicorn happens once, right? And she happened to walk into my office. But if we send that story out to the world, everybody will think they get it. Everybody will think they're entitled to it.
Right.
But the woman in Colts Neck who didn't file an answer and came to me on the eve of a sheriff's sale, that woman almost lost $300,000. And I had to run in front of a judge and say, please do not file a sheriff's sale. I have a contract. And the judge said, I don't want your mortgage company to become your landlord, but I want you to put money for your mortgage payment in escrow for the next 3 months. You want 90 days? Prove to me that you're not causing the lender any extra stress. And 3 months later, when the house sold, they made $300,000 and the lender got paid in full. But you had to run to a judge to make sure that happened. And most people will just keep their damn head in the sand.
That's it. No, that's what's happening.
Reverse mortgages. So, the bugaboo we haven't talked about was tax foreclosure. If your property taxes are behind and somebody buys them, they can wait 2 years and then they can foreclose on it. And for those 2 years, their job is to pay your property taxes and pay any bills that come into the city. But after 2 years, they can go, pay up. And now you couldn't write a check for $6,000 2 years ago. Now I expect you to write a check for $30,000.
Well, Yeah, interest.
plus interest at 18%. 18%. They bid it down at sale and they bid it down to zero, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not getting screwed on interest for the first year. After the first year on a tax bid, it goes to 18%. So it's a tidy little sum of money. So I had a realtor reach out to me, and he said, hey, my neighbor's a shut-in, and I brought her matzo ball soup for the holidays. And then she let me in, and she confided to me that she'd gotten served with these papers. What does this mean? And I looked it up, and she'd already gotten time, date, and place for redemption. Write me a check for $40,000 by this date, or you lose your house. Well, she missed the date. But she was working with a reverse mortgage company. And she was under the impression, well, this reverse mortgage is going to go through and they'll get paid and we're fine. But when she handed me the papers, they'd already put in for final judgment. Motion had been filed. They were 10 days away from taking the house by final judgment. And tax foreclosure is different than sheriff sales. Tax foreclosure, they get a final judgment, now you own the house. There are very tight loopholes to undo that, not very good ones. So the house is gone. This woman was within 10 days of it. No mortgage on the house. Marlboro. $500,000? You bet. $40,000 of taxes to lose a $500,000 house? So I called Andy Eftering. I didn't call Andy Eftering, but that is Andy. I called the attorneys and I said, hey, she's like applying for a reverse mortgage right now. She's been in process with them for like a month. And they said, yeah, okay. And they gave me a 90-day adjournment. Right? What happened during the 90 days? Oh, the reverse mortgage failed.
It failed.
Oh, shit. The reverse mortgage failed? What do you mean? The reverse mortgage company told me, she's in active foreclosure? There's a list pendants out there? We can't lend her money. This is FHA guidelines. Did you fucking convey it to the client? She's under the impression that this is going to work out. Didn't work out.
Can you sue them and make them perform?
No. It's federal guidelines. Right? They just didn't explain themselves very well. So, now we have to do the other part of the business. Who here has hard money?
Well, we can get it.
Sure. But that's the point. So I went out and I found her $40,000 of hard money. Because who the hell is going to lose a $500,000 house over 40? Right? And what did I do for the hard money guy? Because here's the hard part. Anybody that's ever dealt with hard money will say it needs to be put into an LLC and it can't be owner occupied. And I say that never is going to work for my clients. But what will work for my clients is I will hold a deed in escrow that's already in your name. And you must send them a cure requirement if they default. But if they're in default for more than 30 days, record it. You own the house. Your first position mortgage lien against the property with, here's your tidy 15% interest.
Right.
So her guy got 15% for the last year. And now, the list pendants is discharged. Foreclosure complaint is gone. What's she doing right now? Reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
And it's going to go through. And the point was, I just needed to get rid of the obstacles.
Clean it up.
And as soon as I could clean up the obstacles, the asset is still there. And the product is a good one for the little old lady shut-in that still wants to die in her house.
I think reverse mortgages are awesome.
You're a unicorn because I'm not going to name names, but I had an attorney just throw his hands up in a,
I don't
in a
throw my
deal
hands
that
up.
went to sheriff's
You
sale.
like challenge,
You know,
Yeah, I get off on puzzles.
Mhm.
And everybody in my office knows that. The weirder the puzzle, the more excited I get by it. And again, I've had to train a staff to follow me with that lunacy. And when they do intake on a client, they ask all the right questions. Before I've ever talked to somebody, we kind of know what path it's going down. And some of them, they'll look at it and be like, this can't really be done. And I'm like, well, what about this? And when we get to this, all of a sudden you find a path. And I will tell you more than anything else, that besides my fun puzzle weird brain, I buy clients time.
Yeah.
Time is the most valuable resource we can give to
So
somebody.
even if they're gonna still head in that direction, it gives them that moment to take it in.
Sure.
Control. It
Fix
gives them
their
the
stuff
control
and
back.
whatever.
And to find a rental, for God's
Right,
sake.
yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. So the little old 89-year-old woman that doesn't want to be married to her house, I have no doubt it's going to be sold in the next 4 months because she has time. And before she met me, all she had was fear.
Yeah.
I told you about the woman in 2021 where they knocked on the door and scared the shit out of the son. Just 2 weeks ago, knocked on the door. I bought this house today at auction to the Spanish-speaking only mom. And she called her daughter panicking that this guy left a note and said, please call Joseph so you can arrange to get out of the house. And she said, Mom, it's okay. I have this guy's postcard sitting in my car. I meant to call him. And she was in my office the next day. Do you want to know how much she owed on her house?
Ugh, I know.
Remember that much?
$105,000.
Oh,
House worth $275,000.
wow.
This is an easier question.
Well, see, there's a lot of people taking advantage of that
I know.
Of course.
out there.
So the
That's the
easiest
system.
easiest
That's
question there
wow.
was, do you have $105,000? And she was like, no. But who in your family might? Well, there's 3 people over here, and these people over here couldn't find a house during the crazy bidding war market. They're going to buy the house. And then she doesn't lose it. And then in a year, they'll sell it back to her after her credit's been cleaned up. That's what we do. But 99% of my brethren would have just thrown their hands up and said, yeah, I can't help you.
Yep.
Fuck that. I can help them all. It's just a function of, did they get to me in time?
Awesome.
Questions?
I like your
Thoughts?
confidence.
You know how they do the first
Swagger.
time home buyer seminar? Have you ever thought of doing an in-person seminar this way for people behind on their mortgage and maybe having other people?
We've tried. The problem is when you're in a financial distress, you don't want to go to a seminar where you're sitting
So-
there saying, I'm
You're
in
ashamed.
financial distress.
Best way to do that, which we have not done, take notes, is that would be the one that you do by Zoom. Because
Yeah.
by Zoom, and we
They can
didn't,
hide.
Right.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can hide.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to know your identity. By Zoom, I bet it would work. We used to do it at libraries.
We do
Right.
lots of Zooms.
And I used to do the first time homebuyer seminar. I used to do the $10,000 grant seminar. And I would go in there and I would talk about how to fix your credit, how to beef up your credit scores, because I used to be a collection attorney. So there was the value to those people. And it was soft. We would never go in with the hard thing of behind on your mortgage, facing a sheriff sale, because nobody will show up. They're ashamed. More than anything else, when my clients walk in, first of all, they are afraid of attorneys because we are assholes, we are judgmental, we talk down to them. We don't do any of that. And when they meet me, they're like, are you sure you're an attorney? And I'm okay with that because I take all the judgment out of it. I take okay, shit happened. How do we get past it? Clients fail, like no matter what. I can only do so much. The client has to meet me halfway and get us there. And I have to temper it all the time. And remember, people that had bad tendencies before they met me might still have bad tendencies after they met me. So clients fail. I fail because clients fail. But at least they had an extra opportunity to get there. So when you ask to do an in-person seminar, they're not showing up. But when they walk into my office because their realtor told them to come here, their divorce attorney told them to come here, their CPA told them to come here, they're at least confident that the person they trusted and confided in got them into the room. And if they talk to you and you would ask just enough questions to find out that they're in trouble, they're going to show up here. And I say this and I mean it. If they're comfortable with you in the room, come listen to this. I'm okay with that. This isn't secret sauce. Like, I videotape this and tell people what I do. It doesn't mean they can do it. I tell clients up front, initial consultation that's free, exactly what I intend to do. But if they took that information and ran it down the street to one of my competitors, doesn't mean they can do it. Just, it tells them what the outcome desired outcome is from me, not the steps that my team is going to have to do to get there. I'd love to help every single person in distress, and I'll tell you the limitation of what we can help is based on the referral, the word of mouth, the postcards, the social media, because people don't find out about me sometimes until it's way too late. And so many people have walked in this office and said, man, I wish I knew you 2 years ago. I wish I met you 6 months ago. I had a perfect client for you, ba, 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 ba. The next perfect client's coming, the more times I can have this conversation.
Now, question again. Can you help me with this Beechwood property? I have another one in Bayville too, that's been submitted,
Can you pass that?
but you know, so I have two that that one, I'm technically out of it, but because I have such a relationship with the owner,
Yep.
and then her nephew's the realtor,
Yep.
they said before
They have
you make
different
any
names, right?
decisions, huh?
Do they have different names? Pretty please.
Yeah, I think they
Good.
do. Yep, they have different last names.
Because you know that's one of the
It's a conflict
the
of
great
interest.
conflict saboteurs on a short sale.
Yeah.
I've had the closing where the buyer is the wife of the realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the realtor's commission disappears. I had a nightmare once where
That's right.
Weichert, the lender actually disqualified Weichert because there was a Weichert realtor and then there was Weichert title, and they said, sorry, there's double dipping here. And you're like, no, it's two completely different fucking departments. Are you high? It didn't matter. They actually screwed up the deal. So having the same name as the person that's selling it,
Yeah,
it's
they don't have the
conflict.
same name.
Massive conflict. So in a case like that, I'm really easy about this, right? You walk in with something and you say there's no attorneys involved with this, or there's an attorney for the buyer.
The attorney for the seller.
Right.
I connect her with an attorney.
Right. So that attorney, we have a call, and I go, do you want to keep doing the short sale part of this, or do you want that to become buyer's responsibility? And I get hired as buyer's attorney. They sign an authorization that lets me talk to the lender, and I start the negotiation. We charge for this, by the way, just because this is upfront, and this is something where people really didn't like this, but then I explained it, and they get better about it. Everyone will tell people, oh, on a short sale, don't worry about it. All the fees are taken care of by the lender. You don't have to pay anybody. The problem with that attitude is that when a homeowner does not have skin in the game,
Yeah.
the homeowner will pretend that they just gave you a gift. Well, I gave you a listing. You should be thankful. Your listing came with 5 IRS liens and a judgment and solar panels and a burial chamber in the basement. This was not a gift for me. I have to do work on this. So when I ask you for bank statements, for pay stubs, for tax returns, for a hardship letter, you can't tell me to fuck off, because if you won't give me those things, this will not happen.
Okay.
So we charge $750. Charge $1,500 for a real deal. We charge $750 for a short sale. So we know we're not asking for full freight.
Mm-hmm.
We're just asking to cover this much time, actually to make the clients accountable. More than anything else, it's skin in the game, because the second you've reached in your pocket to do something, you actually are either willing to help, or you then want to hold me accountable and make sure that I'm working in your best interest.
Right.
But I don't care what side I'm on. I'll work through the short sale if I'm on the buyer side or the seller side. So yeah, if there's an opportunity, just set up a phone call and we'll see if there's a way to get it done. I can't promise it's going to work, but I promise I'm going to work through every step to try to get them to a yes in a different way.
Good to know.
Anything
Usually.
else?